and welcome to the latest episode of Enterprise Minds. Thank you for checking it out. It's Alex and Dave today. We're going to revisit a topic that keeps coming up because it keeps changing and we keep finding out more things. So for a different take on this, or some analysis into kind of what some industry thought leaders have been talking about, or research from SaaS tools that we all know and love. That was in one of the more recent Pathways newsletters. So if you don't subscribe to that, go find that, subscribe to that. Link will be in the show notes. And I think we're going to expand upon our takes from that post and previous episodes that we've talked here. So, Alex, why don't you cue us up?
I'll cue it up, but I'm going to kick it right back to you. Here's the thought experiment.
Right.
Just to try to help, I think, our listeners and watchers understand kind of how to put this into practice.
Right.
So let's say you are your own agency, working in an agency, whatever, got hired by a new company, you're an in-house role. Any of those work is for a B2B manufacturer type company. They have an existing website, likely a lot of products, press releases, investor news, careers, the basics.
Right.
Their content is a joke. I mean, whatever. Let's say it's super messy, super outdated, hard to understand, mistargeted, you name it. It's on their site. You are now going to be in charge of their new content effort. What are the first couple of things, maybe first 3 things that you would do when entering that role and looking at that site and say, okay, here's a way to get you forward and moving in the right direction?
Right. For me, it starts with who are the audiences we're targeting.
Makes sense. Yeah.
What is the previous data that we have,
Sure.
or current data on that, knowing full well that, that might not be the whole story.
Yeah.
But then combining things with that, and then as any of the conversations that we've talked about, I'm big on prioritizing the big stuff first. So where are the areas of opportunity, and sort of where are the paths of least resistance, where we can get a move on and get some early wins and go. So that might be updating product descriptions for the product detail. That might be making sure that everything has an image, because especially in the big corporations, like not every system talks to one another perfectly. So you could have a whole bunch of broken images without even realizing it. Especially since you probably won't get an alert, when a system goes down.
Right. Setting up those alerts is a good idea too.
Yeah. So then, but also understanding what's the full ecosystem, right? Because it might be problems on your end, but then also, are you syndicating content out to Amazon, to channel partners, to global, e-commerce things like Mercado Libre or Naver, Baidu,
Sure.
Any of those. What's the process that we have to go through, right? If you're a multinational, then you're going to have to figure out translation and estimating budgets for translations and all of these things.
Legal review. Sure.
Yeah. So understanding those nuances would kind of be the first, but that's also because I'm a high context individual, right? I know a lot of people who will just go in and say, here's what I think, let's do it. And you're like, no, you're breaking things. You're not, like, but that approach can work in certain situations. That's for sure. Those are clearly hot take, operational, kind of my preferred way of working kind of things. But given the way things are changing with AI, and we've talked about this a lot on the show about how people are saying SEO is dead, and it's like, well, but people have been saying that for 30 years, or not quite 30 years, but it feels like that. Yeah. And just the old ways of doing things are coming back.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of performance marketing, now we get to do brand marketing again. We get to do PR and email newsletters instead of spamming the world with advertisements. Like everything changes, and that's all fine and wonderful. But what's the marketing mix that will resonate? So, there is that discovery portion of it, but then jumping in and realizing how things are changing is going to be important. And I don't know personally if enough people are taking into account how quickly AI is changing and how good some of these AIs are becoming every 3 to 6 months in their strat planning, right? Because if you're putting together a plan for a full year, that might actually be too long.
Yeah, depending on how specific you get. Once it gets to an operational stage, I don't think you can at this stage.
Right. I mean, I've been asking around about, hey, maybe we only plan the first 6 months. Can we get away with that? Maybe. I don't know. How's that resonate with you? How would you
kind of
approach
similar
it?
process. I guess kind of some words of advice. I was talking to somebody about some technical SEO kind of basics.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things I mentioned was don't blame the devs.
Yeah.
Don't burn your relationships. And I've seen that happen so many times from SEOs, from agencies or whatever. They show up with their laundry list of problems saying, you messed up this. This is junk. This is crap. And the reaction to that is always very defensive, and it stalls out the thing, and it basically kills the project before it starts.
Right. Relationships matter.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm totally with you on those different points. I guess the process in which I kind of go about it would be a mix of things. So the data, absolutely, getting to understand the customer base and like some of those, base targeting, interests, persona, demographic, you name it, psychological, all the way down, kind of, information as much as you can. And anecdotal stories have anecdotal evidence.
Right.
So just because one person or two people repeat the same thing doesn't mean it's true, which I think that catches a lot of new employees, where the latest or the oldest rumor. Oh man, there was one. I worked at a company. They said these two professions who are so close to each other in profession that they literally start with the same degree program and they just go in slightly different specialties. One of them gets angry if they see the other one in a drop down that contains their products. And it was like, what? What? What psychopath cares that much? And then I started asking, and the best we could get, just because I was like, I'm tired of it, because I kept hearing it, and I'm so tired of hearing it, because I was like, no, we are not going to change our entire content plan around anecdotal things.
Right.
The best we got was potentially a salesperson said it 6 years ago once. And it was like, okay, then we're not going to care about this. Can we just be done now?
Right.
But it just goes to show how this very, very old rumor from, who knows, probably an offhand comment of someone, maybe they're a KOL reviewing a website, key opinion leader who is, a customer. Maybe they said something random at that, and then it just started getting repeated, and that became just a part of like the tribal knowledge.
Right.
And that's just to further iterate the point of, you're going to hear random stuff at the beginning. And you kind of have to have that detective hat on of going at it from multiple people, validating the alibis, kind of a thing of, asking different people the same sort of questions and seeing if you start getting the same sort of answers and variations on it instead of exact duplicates of it. Because exact duplicates means someone's repeated something, but they didn't think about it. If they had their own variation on it, they're thinking about it. So then you have, multiple people seeing kind of the same idea, same problem. They might be seeing it from different perspectives, sales, tech support, marketing, you name it.
Right.
Then yeah, that's probably pretty valid, legitimate problem. So I guess the ways I kind of go at it would be, one, absolutely going down that data line, And Screaming Frog is great, especially nowadays, because you can have OpenAI or Perplexity or Claude, whoever you want, Gemini, tied into it as an API, and you can have it ask prompts to every single URL. So you can say, like, categorize this for me, write a new meta description that's better and more unique and within this character set. And you can use ChatGPT to create those prompts to then put the prompts in. There is cost with that. It's very, very small, but there is cost. There's an API connection you have to set up, but we're talking like a $1 for a few hundred URLs, depending on complexity of prompt and how many prompts you have.
Right.
Or even less. I had it run once at $1 per 1,000 URLs, so not bad at all.
It's a fantastic return.
Yeah, no, it really was. I mean, honestly, coming back with a giant amount of metadata that is like completely updated, like meta descriptions and page titles, and being like, hey, these are pretty good. Just have to go through the factor of just reviewing them. Like that makes life so much easier than trying to write them all.
Right.
But going through that data side is like a parallel path for me of always trying to go down that data side as much as possible, trying to understand sales numbers and profit margins and inventory issues and all that kind of stuff, like running down that line as hard as I can, while at the same time basically booking time with different people and just interviewing them.
Right.
And what I found at any company is you send people a meeting invite, usually they show up. Like 80% plus of the time they accept and they show up. So it doesn't even matter what your agenda is. If I write a nice agenda, send them a note saying, hey, I'm new, I'm trying to learn, I got a bunch of questions. Can you spend half an hour with me answering questions? Basically, everyone always says yes to that.
Right.
And if you can't find out who they are through your Outlook calendar, go on LinkedIn. I found some amazing people at my own company, even if that happened to prior companies, where I search people who work at this company with the various kind of different job titles, because I was like trying to find somebody who just knows something out of, I need to find a particular salesperson, technical support person, or, scientist.
Right.
And I don't know them personally. I don't know people who know them, but I can find them on LinkedIn.
Right.
So absolutely interview people, chat with them, learn what you can to kind of validate things on your own. Kind of trust but verify sort of thing. And then I think you have an idea, but then here's a good question. What's your kind of tips for getting buy-in for, let's say, removing, editing existing content? That one can sometimes get a little tricky because egos get involved pretty fast.
Well, existing content to me is always easier.
Okay.
Because you're not dealing with budgets, you're not dealing with personal opinions on how the brand should be represented, or all those sorts of things.
Depending if you're talking to the writer or not. I've had that prompt where I end up talking to the person who wrote the thing and they get defensive.
Right.
Of some really, really poor copy.
Right. Yeah, those are always fun conversations, but those are necessary ones. And I think too, there's a lot of soft skills in that sense that are getting lost with productivity. Where it's like, hey, you know what? I know you're a good writer, but this wasn't your best. Like, so can you take another shot at it? You have to learn how to deliver that kind of feedback and still get the good quality out of that. But anyway, new content to me is always harder because new immediately goes into a whole bunch of processes with a whole bunch of expenses because, okay, who's going to do that? I don't want to be responsible for that. Who's managing the project? Do we have any creatives? No. Who's, where are the approved vendors? Do we have an approved vendor? It's like, why can't we just do anything fun?
There are days that I always think about that of like, some small little startup is also publishing blog articles that might be the exact same topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we're going through 6 months of process and they did it before they grabbed lunch because they were busy and they wanted to slam something out. They did it and then they went to lunch. It's like,
and they got a
jealousy
lunch
some days.
Yeah, they got a lunch. They're not working over it. Yeah. No, I think the editing and changing things, I think that's where you get a little bit of cloud cover, especially in larger organizations, because like if you're responsible for the website and people just know that you're responsible for the website, they're so busy with everything else they have to do that they're just not gonna look. So I mean, obviously if you're gonna do a massive change, you should be like, hey, heads up, like, is this cool? But like small changes, like just go do it, ask for forgiveness later, for some of those things. But big content initiatives, you should have it mapped out. You should have it. Here's the things that we want to talk about. Here's why it's important. Here's how it impacts the organization. Those types of things, to your point, you have to have for the larger organizations. For the smaller ones, it's just, all right, hey, we're doing the blog, or we're going to do shorts videos on LinkedIn, or whatever. So here's kind of the next 3 months that we've generally mapped out. But part of that too is like you need to leave room for experimentation. I find, like, anything creative, and we talk about this a lot in our conversations and in the newsletter. Sometimes the messy, inefficient things are actually just better. You get a better output, you get more team building, you get a deeper understanding of the products and services you're trying to help sell, or you get a deeper context that helps you connect certain things, rather than just checking the box, moving on to the next meeting, and looking at your to-do list, that has maybe a couple things checked off, but you still have 8 more to go. Right. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually. And as we record this today, that's the topic of our newsletter. So another plug for the newsletter. Go check it out.
Speaking of content, go read our content.
Yeah, exactly. And I know you asked a while back, does it still make sense to create content for the company?
Yeah.
And I said yes. Has your thoughts changed in any way since we last talked about that? Or where are you standing now?
I think, of course, it's still valid, and I did that as well. There's a question of, does that continue? What kind of content do you need to say? Mm-hmm. There is some definite changes that are happening, and there's a few articles, even speaking of, again, of pathways, mentioned the newsletter too, of AI visitors who are way, way, way more qualified than our standard search visitor.
Right.
And they come in very late into the whole cycle. Might be all the way down to the product line or product purchase stage. Like they know exactly what they want, and they just suddenly show up there and they buy it. And it's like, whoa, where did they come from? Like there's no path, there's no history or anything else, like no referral code or tagging or whatever else or tracking.
Right.
And if you can, you look at your referrals and you see they came from an AI tool. And they're far more researched and ready because they did that within that tool versus on your site.
Right.
Always being there is a lot harder than it ever has been in the past. Having that large scale digital footprint that you have to have now, which is you're spread out all over the place, and your website. I mean, we can talk a little bit about Sora 2 launching, and by the time this podcast comes out, who knows what's going to be the latest one out there. Also on video creation, which, right. Speaking of the difficulty that it takes to get a piece of a single blog post written at a corporation is far more difficult than, if you haven't done it, it's way more difficult than you think. There's just so many people who have an opinion and want to be involved. It's like everybody right. who looks at a piece of art, everyone can come up with a criticism, and now they're an art critic.
Right.
And my gosh, you get a room full of them, and it really slows down your painting process if you're trying to appease everybody. So, not easy. But video creation was, I don't know, 10 times, 50 times more. I mean, it was, script writing, the costs were exceptionally high. You're hiring a video production company. You're potentially even having people act, and then there's, sign-offs and liabilities and,
Right.
agreements and everything. I mean, music intros that now you have to buy rights for. Like there's so much more that goes on there, and that's when you get to like editing and posting and
Right.
syndication of it. Um, if that gets all the way nailed down, all the way, concentrated down to a single individual making a single prompt and then posting it live to you or posting it up to YouTube, that really changes things. I mean, then you're posting video content almost like you would be a blog post or web copy content, where you have a
Right.
single individual able to do all of the steps, including posting it, creating it, thinking of it, ideation all the way through.
Right. And I know
That
for
that's
me,
that's a different world.
well, and there are two things with each of these processes too, right? And this is a thing that I've been teasing around in my head. There's definitely AI for operations and optimization,
Hmm.
which seems to be getting a lot of the business views.
Sure.
But the AI for creation, that has always been the weakest one for me.
Hmm.
Now, granted, I'm coming from a creative side of things. I like to create things, so of course I would,
Standards are a little higher.
yeah. But and then also, like, I want to believe that creatives will still have a place in this world. But I remember I did a presentation at the University of St. Thomas here earlier this year, and one of the panel guests that was on with me um, is high up in Best Buy, and she was talking about how for every ad campaign that they do with like TV ads, they were leveraging AI to storyboard. And by leveraging AI to storyboard, they were able to save close to $150,000 of pre work time per campaign because you can
Wow.
pick out the outfits like ahead of
Sure.
time or get an idea of like what kind of outfit you'd want for each scene or each person. Um, you could just change the flow without having to like redraw stuff or you know test a whole campaign idea before scrapping it and then it costs you like nothing or like
Yeah.
next to nothing. It's $20 instead of 150,000. Like so if you think about the number of campaigns that a company like Best Buy is going to be doing across the year with all of the different product partners that they have, all the new phone launches, all the new computer launches, back to school, Christmas, that's a lot. That's a lot. And that's not just the TV ads. That's also the over the top, TV streaming ads that they have. Um, YouTube video ads. Like there's some massive things there, even just on the side of getting to a point where you say, yeah, okay, let's bring in the actual agency, let's bring in actual models, let's bring in, the wardrobe person. Um, that to me is the best use that I've heard of so far on the optimizing a creative process side of things, right? Where the creativity is still up to the people in the room. The final output is still um, people putting it together in
Hmm.
a collaborative way, but leveraging AI to take down some costs on the front end as part of the idea creation and brainstorming side of things. Um, yeah.
I wonder, maybe it's possible, maybe it's not possible. Depends on your organization, I guess,
Hmm.
of whether or not you're able to come up with a complete enough set of brand standards, including like tone, you know, even layout on the site. If you have some best practices kind of on that side of things, that's a little bit
Hmm.
beyond brand. But if you had that set, I wonder if you could get a group of people just to agree on a strategy and like a keyword or topic list.
Right.
And then you use various AI tools and kind of an internal or small team review process to get the copy done
Hmm.
and then posted. And then they have a small review session after it's live, like not a draft mode, but a live version of it, saying like, You trust that we're going to follow all these other agreed upon standards, and you agree upon the strategy and titles,
Mm-hmm.
and we're good to go. I know some copy projects absolutely run like that, like especially when you're working with external writers. That's basically it.
Right.
But again, to the storyboarding part, it's a lot of money, a lot of upfront costs, like coming up with all the different concepts and ideas and the rest, which you could definitely speed that up with AI tools. And then, of course, the content production aspect,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, you could speed up and reduce the cost with AI tools, which you could probably reduce the team size too,
Mm-hmm.
which might be helpful, kind of speed things up.
Yeah, and this is where, like, when you see something like the Sora 2 launch, people like to say stuff like, oh my God, there goes creativity. It's like, well, no,
Yeah,
hold on. If you take an advertisement like, um, you know, medical stuff, like actual medicines, even though they're paid actors,
sure,
you like the fact that it's a human being telling you, like, this is my experience on, you know,
sure.
flunoxacil or whatever. Um,
May cause death.
right.
Gotta love those ads.
Yeah. These lists of side effects will take away any joy from your life. Call your doctor now.
Exactly.
But yeah, do we know they're fake? Absolutely. Because do you see
Yep.
any cancer patient chasing a dog in a park? No, you do not. Not with a
No.
smile on their face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we know that they're fake. We know they're paid actors. But there's something about seeing real humans. They're selling the idea of a post treatment thing that may or may not actually be true. But that's
Yeah.
at least that's the rub, and at least you're seeing real humans doing it, right?
That, I did a certification recently,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a vendor who had this certification. It was very helpful, actually, because it covered the kind of overall subject matter of what their product is a part of versus their
Right.
individual product and how to use it. So it was nice. It was well done. There was an external company that they even listed as being the ones who helpfully put it together.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the training, there's a lot of different quizzes and exams and stuff like that throughout it. And then, there's different speakers who would speak through the different parts, explaining kind of PowerPoint slide, kind of standard training, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it kept cutting to them. And a few of them, the background moved. And I found the people on LinkedIn afterwards. They're definitely real people. One of them, the background didn't seem to move. There's a lot of like random hand gestures. They're kind of staring off where other people were kind of looking at the camera. They were kind of looking just past it and
Mm-hmm.
like hardly ever blinked on it. And it could literally just be the individual and how they happen to operate in front of a camera. That's just
Right.
their style and their personality. But I couldn't find them online, and I am still wondering. It's been over a week now. I am still wondering if that was AI. I don't know if that was a human being. And
Right.
it's mostly showing just the content, the PowerPoint slide, and occasionally cuts away to the person who's speaking, then it cuts back and then it cuts back, it kind of goes back and
Right.
forth. You have like two camera angles max on the person, so it's mainly just staring at the PowerPoint slides of as the text, starts to move on.
Right.
So you don't get that much time with, seeing the person. So you just get these small little clips, and I'm still not convinced. I
Right.
literally still can't tell because it was so not like the others that they stood out, but it was
Mm-hmm.
still within the realm of human possibility of, just a more awkward individual in front of a camera that's, who
Right.
seemed like they really knew their stuff. At least the slides were good, or the script was good, or they're really good. I don't know which one, who gets the credit, or maybe all of them. Um,
Well, and
but I
this goes
feel
back
the
to the
same way with
original thing of, who's your audience? What are the information they're trying to consume?
yeah,
If it's informational, what are the best ways to do that?
yeah.
Right? How many touch points do we need to have before a typical conversion, or um
B2B, it's a lot.
yeah, so then, you know are they leveraging AI mode to then go verify on actual websites that what AI mode gave them is accurate? Yeah, probably. Is the data and the content on your website up to date and correct? Because if it's not, go do that right now.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a big one. I just found tech support teams are fantastic, like just a wealth of content ideas, especially quick win kind of stuff. Because
Mm-hmm.
the moment you can say that some person calls in with this problem and it's one of these problems that's embarrassing for the company to admit that it still has a problem.
Right. Right.
Um, and you said we fix that, and nobody questions the reason why you exist at that company.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, thank you for taking care of that. Please continue to do so.
Yeah, I have a recent work example that I'll tell you off camera
Yeah, I got a couple that
related
are
to
just
that.
like, oh my goodness, how does this happen? And how does it keep happening, especially over the course of like months to years?
Mm-hmm.
And we just didn't do anything about it. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. Or the, hey,
Um,
I've told you we should work on this 6 months ago
yeah,
and you didn't listen. And now it happened and you didn't think it would
ridiculous.
happen. So guess who's got egg on their face? Not me. Not me.
Yeah, I
Like,
like folks.
yeah. So, I mean, all of those human things haven't changed at all.
No,
And
no,
those
they
I
really
don't
haven't.
think will ever change, especially if senior leadership decides, hey, we're just going to keep trimming or not backfilling because we're just going to leverage AI for stuff now. Right.
Yeah,
If that's the thought process, then, Lord help us. Um,
yeah. Get real tactical for a second.
yeah.
Just kind of piece of advice of when you're taking over a site. Um, I like to also think of things. I mean, it's more my tech SEO background maybe, but I think of things kind of in a folder structure still of trying to understand. This is the main site. As I start to click around, I start to see that URL get a little bit longer. Everything between those slashes is another folder.
Right.
And trying to figure out what kind of content is within each one of these folders, and then start thinking about like, okay, what is the purpose and point of these
Right.
different ones?
Right.
And once you start getting down to that level, and you feel like you have a good enough grasp, kind of mental concept, mental model of the website, and you have to start to have a grasp of what is the point and purpose of each one of these sections,
Right.
you can start to see which ones are interrelated and should be internally linked and navigated and navigable between each other.
Mm-hmm.
But also which ones might be, different parts of the funnel and journey of this is lower, this is higher. We should be able to link all the way down deep into the product catalog at this point, even though it's a blog article. But
Right.
this one really needs like a beginner's guide overview sort of thing. And then also it gets down to maybe some of these sections are pointless. If there is no point and purpose, or they're duplicative of another one, maybe they get edited out.
Right.
And my favorite content process that I've ever done is the one that Ruthie did with us,
Mm.
which was printing off pages of the website, giving us scissors and markers and saying, edit it, cut it up.
Right.
And it was so tangible, but also like if you really have the page in your hand and you're looking at it, you're like, wow, this is junk.
Right.
And there
Right.
were these entry paragraphs to these categories that were some of the pages that we were looking at that were literally like 3 or 4 sentences of run-on sentences that literally said nothing. It was
Yeah.
just fluff.
Just all
And each
business
one
speak.
had it
Yeah.
because there was a part of the template, and man, it got filled out each time. And it was like, you are doing your visitor a disservice by wasting their time, especially at the top of the
Absolutely.
page, to have to somehow scan through this, read through this, or skip by this to even have it on the content, like on the page.
Right.
Like it drove it home so hard. And I would love, and I haven't found one, an online tool where you can kind of like do fake live edits to a page, save and share it. Um, because I'd love to see something like that to kind of go through a site digitally because of, everybody working remotely and, work from
Right.
home and the like. I know meeting in person is probably pretty unlikely. So something like that. If everybody knows a tool, please do, take a look at the show notes, drop it us an email or a message. Let us know about that. Or
Right.
any kind of cool content tools that you've been trying and using. there are so many out there that can make this process of kind of bringing everybody along on the journey too,
Right.
educating them, you name it, whatever can be. Tell us, help us out too.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good point to stop. Absolutely, give us any recommendations. I love playing around with any sort of new tool. Try to understand it. And I mean, that is one of the things that I love about our SEO community, former SEO community, is just how everybody's testing everything and sharing all of their outputs. I think, in all of my experiences, the SEO community is the only one that will do that, and actually show you, like, here's what I did, here's how you might do it, without going, oh, aren't I the greatest? So I really enjoy that. So go check out, some SEO people. Thank you for making it this far. Like, subscribe, share. Again, check out Pathways. That I got three CTAs in today, so that's fantastic. And we'll see you in the next episode of Enterprising Minds 2 weeks from now. Appreciate it. Take care.
Cheers.